Hello, what's up? My name is Lance. Welcome to my YouTube series Zero to MRR. In this channel, I'm going to be diving into a bunch of different technologies that interest me. I'm going to spend time tinkering and building interesting software and ultimately looking to build a product to start generating some revenue. This first video is the intro to the channel and to me. I've decided to start producing some content because I enjoy teaching and it's something I'd like to, pursue a career in, imparting knowledge and things that I've picked up over my time in the tech industry. So a little about me. My first job was working a register and handing out meals at KFC. That was in high school. I was around 16. After high school, I joined the Marine Corps. I was a radio repairman. So I was fixing radios, I was outfitting trucks with different tech, radios, GPS, signal jammers, and pretty much anything electrical. I got very good at troubleshooting. I developed a knack for operations, so this kind of helped me in my career in the rest of that track at IT, sysops. But a couple things happened during that time period that really set me on this path. The first one was learning about Linux. I was amazed that this other world of computing existed because I had only ever known Windows. The second thing is that I was exposed to an internet page called Upside Down Internet, in which somebody sets up an evil hotspot and they run this reverse proxy to intercept people's traffic on that network and replace images with fun things like Rick Astley GIFs. Since then, I was enamored by Linux, Shell and Python scripting, network security, Backtrack Linux, Red Team stuff. So that really kind of got me interested in this path. And after I left the service, I started in IT as a help desk guy. So I was answering phones, helping people with their computer problems. I was attending night school for computer science, networking, security, and I was tinkering at home and at work. Started growing out into other areas, networking, security, the certified ethical hacker route. Never got the cert, but I got the knowledge, and I started doing a lot of server administration. So Windows, Linux. My first job was all Active Directory, group policies, shared file systems, things like that. Got more into Linux sysadmin, started working with config management tools like Ansible, Chef, started with virtualization, things like VMware, Zen Server. Started writing software. The first thing I picked up was PHP, just running some simple websites, simple tools. Got more into Python. First Python project was Django. Got more into Flask, and started working at a company that had a data center. So I was going to the data center, sitting in those loud server rooms and tinkering with the systems in there. I wasn't tinkering, I was working on people's production stuff. But yeah, learning about data centers. At this firm, right, they started moving away from their colo and going into the cloud. So they were starting with AWS, and I kind of led the foray of that company's cloud journey. So I started working more in a DevOps capacity. I was working with different software groups, helping them deploy their stuff into AWS. So I got into things like infrastructure as code, Terraform, CloudFormation, CI and CD, automation, databases, caching. Since then, I've worked in roles spanning from platform, DevOps, SRE, pre-sales, post-sales, kind of everything in between. Right now I work for an AWS consulting company. I do both the pre-sales work, so I'm doing scoping calls, I'm estimating time, writing proposals, kind of coming up with the project plans, and then I oversee the projects, making sure that things go smoothly. And all of that leads me to this channel. So this first episode is going to be me starting to shout into the void and hoping to start something new, because I'm a builder. I like to build, teach, and expand my skill sets. And this is kind of my journey to go from zero to MRR, right? I want to build a product. I want to put out a useful, interesting software platform that I can sell and start growing as a side business, and hopefully do that full time as kind of a entrepreneur, founder, solo dev. Um, but this the content that I'm planning to talk about in this channel is around things that interest me pretty much. Things like 3D printing, local LLM development. So I've been playing with Olama, different models that you can download using tools like Streamlit, LangChain, learning about vector databases. I work with Docker a lot, so you do a lot of container orchestration, tools like Kubernetes, ECS, Docker Compose. I usually keep it pretty simple for my local stuff, just compose stacks to get me a database and a Redis cache, stuff like that. I write some command line tools using things like Golang and Rust, occasionally some Python stuff. My background in the cloud realm is all AWS, so uh, I've got some expired certs I haven't bothered to go back and recertify because, frankly, I don't want to, um, and I don't need to at this point in my career. Um, Personal stuff, I use DigitalOcean, write a bunch of VPSs, and just do basic Linux administration. Um, I keep some Ansible playbooks to kind of keep things packaged as code, but otherwise I'm just doing stuff on the box. Got some cattle out there. And aside from that, my main thing is Python web development. I'm a Python guy. I can touch the other languages, but my comfort zone is Python. I can crank out apps and services and scripts like nobody's business with Python. Um, so aside from that, I'm really shooting from the hip here. I have a general plan, but really nothing set in stone. I'm just going to post about things that I'm working on as they come up. So if any of that stuff interests you, stick around. Thanks. Alright, trying this shit again, like take fucking 50. My god. Alright, I wanted to give a brief overview of my development environment as part of this intro video. By no means do you need to have the same hardware. It's just I find it beneficial to have the hardware locally to me. I don't have to wait for services or pay for any extra shit. So I would highly recommend you invest the money to buy a powerful machine to be able to do all this stuff locally. I'm sure it will pay off for you in the long run. But this is my development environment. I'll flip over and walk you through what I've set up here. Alright, so I have a little install script that I've just kind of tracked the things that I install. Some of this stuff I run on different VPSs when I need it. Otherwise, this is just my desktop software that I've installed. So I'm using the latest Ubuntu 24. I have no idea if it's pronounced Ubuntu or Ubuntu, but I like to say Ubuntu because I've been saying it that way for like 15 years. Anyways, fresh Ubuntu 24. I'm using this, I don't know what you call it, development management tool. It's called OmaCube, made by DHH and the people at Basecamp. It's pretty slick. It sets up all your dev tools, NeoVim, VS Code, Docker. It gives you some other cool applications. Pretty much one-click setup of a fresh Ubuntu machine with all the tools that you might need. Got theming. I like it. It's pretty sick. I'm using Olama for any local LLM development work. So I run the models locally. I'm downloading models from their catalog, mostly like Llama 3.1 and like Lava for multimodal stuff, but just kind of my model playground. I've got a pretty beefy GPU too, so that's what enables me to do a lot of that. I use the NVIDIA 4070. I install Rust the occasional times I need to compile a Rust program. If I'm doing anything JavaScript or TypeScript related, I'm going to be using Bun, just a much simpler package manager and Node.js execution. I think I still have NVM if I want to switch versions of things, but I pretty much just use Bun. Anything Python related, I've switched to a new tool called UV. Basically replaces pip, poetry, and whatever other Python package managers. It's pretty slick. I'm using this for every new Python project, and if I pick up an existing project, I can use UV to spin it up just as quickly. Very good tool. I'm using a VPN product called Tailscale. I install it to some of my devices. I have some virtual machines at home that I want remote access to, this computer included. So if I'm out and about on the go, I've got my phone or my laptop, I can still access this GPU and the Olama interface to query it, run models, and still do some development work on the go. For static sites, I like to use a tool called Zola, just simple markdown with some HTML templates. Gotta have things like FFmpeg available, keep a Python virtual environment package. I like a package manager for Ubuntu called Nala. It's kind of just an improvement of apt, just a little bit more graphically friendly. Omacube comes with Docker, but I have the script here, so if I'm on a VPS and I need Docker installed, I can just run this little shell script, or I have a playbook to do the same thing. If I'm using Docker, I gotta have Docker Compose. Most of the time, if I'm using Docker, I've got a Compose stack that I just turn up to get Postgres and Redis or whatever else I need for my service. I keep a central repository of a Python virtual environment, and I install some of the tools I use, like Ansible, YouTube Downloader, Boto 3 for AWS API, and the AWS CLI. And then I set up in my bash profile the path to this binary directory, so I can just run these tools right from my shell without needing to activate a virtual environment. Anything SSH related, I keep in a SSH config, so I can specify my user and the key. I use this as a helper, right? So when I need to clone stuff for my LFG Lance GitHub user, I have an SSH key for that, and I just specify, this friendly name, right? Just have the same for all my servers as well. It's just kind of a sample. And this is my bash profile. On my local computer, I use the Omacube kind of profile source at the top here to kind of pull in the defaults from there. I have an updated PS1. I like to kind of customize a little bit of color, tell me if I'm in a virtual environment, and otherwise just keep it pretty simple, tell me where I'm at. Editor, I'm using NeoVim. Not a hardcore NeoVim user, but that's trying to get better with it. Setting a path for some of those tools, so Bun, Rust, Golang, Python, and I have some helpful aliases that I like RC. If I need to make a change to my bash profile, I just run RC. It'll edit it and then immediately source it so the changes are available. I stole some of the git commands, the aliases from omyzsh when I was using Z shell. These are great helpers that I've just kind of committed to memory, and they're muscle memory now. DC, Docker Compose, X clears, exits the terminal, C clears it, TF is Terraform. I got really sick of doing make directory, CD into directory, so I just do CDD and I type it once and I pop my shell. I'm in that directory now. Alright, so that's a brief kind of walkthrough of my development environment. This code will be on my GitHub repo. I'll link it in the description. That's it.